Hello and welcome back to Rugby Through the Leagues podcast.
Hello.
As you can see, I've got a couple of gentlemen with us now. Obviously, Polly's a previous attendee of Rugby Through the Leagues and obviously done the recent Grassroots Day. It's not a mirror. There is another one out there that looks a little bit like me, but better looking. As Keith, our Irish contingent. So, Keith, for those that don't know you, mate, a little intro and then obviously we'll get back to Polly. Everyone knows him, unfortunately. So
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Carl, for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to be brought onto the team for the coming season. As Carl said, I'll try and do my best to highlight some of the Irish grassroots rugby that goes on. There's a lot of great clubs that don't get as much exposure as the Leinsters and everyone else on the team. So previously, look, I've been playing rugby since I was a little nipper, and I know what you're saying, little, when's this fella ever been little? But it is true, back in the day, started off playing with Boyne Rugby Club up in Drogheda from the age of like 7, and played there for a good 10 years on and off, then played up until I mainly played as a 8, and I put on a bit more weight since then, so they're trying to push me more forward into the pack, but I'm still trying to keep that 8 position. In school at the same time, played all across the board, and into college as well, played up in Dundalk on the rugby team there, once again, solidifying that kind of 8 position. And just love rugby, love the analysis of it, love the camaraderie and everything that comes with it.
Awesome. And obviously, Polly, now you're this side of the fence. Obviously, I used to keep you on your toes every time we caught each other on the other side of it microphone, but now you're part of this side and get royally stitched up this side as well, mate. It's up to you, isn't it? So
yeah, I think like Keith said, I love talking about rugby. I love the analysis of it. But actually, it's trying to find those people that tell the story. Then that's the key thing, and that's what we sort of discussed in those grassroots days, is where we're going to move forward. So just let's talk about rugby. We want to get more people playing the game. We want to get more people at rugby clubs, because that's the heart and soul of it. And I'm sure Keith will agree that the more people at a club, the better the club is, and it's about the people around it that are the most important thing. So that's what we want to look towards to do this year, and we can make that happen. If we can expose it a little bit more over the internet, then that's even better.
It all started last weekend in England. We sort of had one lined up, but didn't quite come to fruition to get underway with the Grassroots Rugby Days. But it was probably perfectly timed, because obviously you've probably still not dried out from your trip to Cardiff, Polly, and probably the camera and the microphone are still underwater somewhere, probably still sailing back as well, because that was bloody horrendous, wasn't it?
Yeah, the thing is I think if you go to a rugby game, you go and prep, go, it's going to be wet, and Adam and me, both of us just went, oh, right, okay, it's going to be wet, but it's still the summer, so we had shorts, we had t-shirts, and we pitched up, and fortunately, Adam had 2 brollies in his car. He didn't have his back. He didn't have his works brolly, so he's got one big blue one, and one of those little girly ones that you can sort of see through and pull it over. Do you know what I mean? And he insisted that I had the blue brolly most of the time, because he felt bad that he didn't have a proper one. I said, look, I'm just here to have a good time, and even though it was wet, it was one of those days I wish I'd rather been playing than watching.
Yeah,
no matter what happens.
100%. I think once you're standing around, it's worse.
Yeah, and I think we can all pitch back to that one day and go, right, which is the worst day, which is the wettest day you've played rugby in, and what are the worst conditions that you've ever played in. And I think, that weekend, although it was wet, it was the start of the summer, so the pitch was absolutely perfect. It was exactly what everyone does. Just before the start of the season, everyone's like, can it just rain for about a week and a half, just so the grass is green and not brown, and the ground is not like concrete? And I think it was exactly what everybody would have wanted, apart from anybody going to watch. So yeah, and I think if you, Keith, what's the worst conditions you've ever played in?
Oh, Polly, as soon as you mentioned it, mate, instantly thought of a game playing with Boyne at the home ground, and it was absolutely thundering down with rain. And you won't believe that the score of the match was only 3 points to 0 at the end of it, where we won due to a penalty. But it was, you couldn't, the ball was flying everywhere. You couldn't hold it, you couldn't see it half the time. And yeah, absolutely horrendous. Stuck out like a sore thumb when you were talking about it.
I think mine's got to be down Gosport Park. That's got its own weather climate. The wind, the rain, because the wind sort of comes in and then the rain turns in about 4 different directions as well. It's not even horizontal. It doesn't come straight. It goes in like it's just literally its own weather climate, Gosport Park. And everyone would be like, it's all right. It's all right. It's not. It's just fucking not. It's horrendous.
Yeah. I remember a game I was coaching. It was one of my first season coaching, so what would have been 2019, I think it would have been.
Yeah.
And we were the Gosport ones were playing Eastleigh ones, and I was coaching the twos, and Gosport twos were playing Eastleigh twos on the other pitch. And the rain was horizontal.
Yeah.
Visibility was down minute. It was freezing as well, so I think it was like 3 degrees. And
Nice.
and at half time, like both refs are right, everyone in the changing room, 2 of the lads in the shower trying to warm up because the wingers have just been stood out in the freezing cold, and everyone goes and like everyone's waiting to go out on the pitch and like in the after the half time, and we're all stood there. And you can see the referees having a conversation with the captains, and I'm like, I think this is we got to that point. It was like, this is now breaching on the health and safety. And it was like, nah, nobody wants to walk off the pitch. But if the referee makes that decision, everyone's like, yeah, happy. Yeah, let the referee make the decision. Don't make the, it didn't matter what the score was at that point. Everyone had just and then as soon as the referee had just like blew the whistle in the, in the corridor for like, there's 4 teams in there. There's like 60 odd people just sort of crowding the little corridors. He blows the whistle and goes, it's all off, and everyone's just cheering and jumping in. Yeah, so I think there's possibly the worst like weather conditions I've played in, but but those are also some of the best, because you just sort of sit there and just go, as a forward, you go, right, let's have another scrum, shall we?
Yeah.
And as a second row or a front rower, you're like, this is the best place to be in the park. And I think as an adult, those are the games you remember. But you've got to remember those as a young nipper as well, So your parents are staring at you going, what on earth am I doing? But
they're just got the carrier bag ready to put you in the carrier bag in the boot because you're just that covered in mud. It's not even worry about getting the clothes off. We'll just deal with that when we get home. Just get in the carrier bag. Just you're there. Don't get on my seats. Don't ruin my car.
Now, in fairness to my dad, he always had a flask of soup that he distributed afterwards. Like you talk about those days when you're a kid and going and you're doing those tournaments, you're doing those blitzes. And as you say, you come out, you're absolutely covered head to toe. But it was at the end of it, you go back to the car and the parents had the sambos and the hot soup that they just gave to everyone because that's what it was.
It must be an Irish thing because you don't get that fucking hospitality.
Do you not know? A bit different.
You get a fucking cold hose. Like, right, get yourself in the garden. You ain't allowed in the house until that's all off you.
Yeah, don't you come to my house. You make a mess of my house, I'll make a mess of you. That's what it was.
That's it. God, good times if you manage to get soup and a sandwich at the end of that. What's the best place you've ever had Scran? When you've gone to a game or anything like that? Where's the best place you've ever had Scran?
One that pops out to me after a match over in Navan Rugby Club. Now Navan would be very over here, kind of on the upper end of the East Coast kind of team, and
sort of north of Galway, isn't it? It's along the Northern Irish border.
Yeah, it's somewhere up there. And their clubhouse is on a like slanted stand of their like main pitch, and I just remember getting like a lovely feed after our match there, and that's the one that kind of you go, right, okay, yeah, they're getting paid well and they're getting enough and being able to put this on for us.
Paul, you must have done a few tours of decent Scran.
Yeah, well, I've never shied away from a meal. I don't know. I guess it's really tough. I suppose the best place, and it wasn't Grassroots though. It was when I was playing Navy Vets, and we played at Aldershot. I think I was I think because it's food. Whether I was playing, I was definitely coaching. And afterwards, we went into the bar afterwards, and it was a 3-course meal. The food was immense. It was just, but it was done properly. If you know what I mean. Because it was a capped event and everything else. There was presentation and speeches and done everything afterwards as well. So, and I think part of it then led into what happened afterwards, made the food even better, if you know what I mean. So part of the atmosphere in that clubhouse, and then we all jumped on a coach and we ended up in the Army's hotel bar in like Slough or whatever it was the night before Army Navy game. I know for a fact that some of the lads at Gosport now, they reckon Chinham at the moment is the best food. Is it? They currently are catered by a Greek restaurant, which is like sort of almost next door. So they have like full on chicken gyros and gyros after dinner, and after the match, it's absolutely.
Adam actually went and did a Grassroots day there, and they packed him up afterwards with a whole sort of gyros box to send home for him and the kids and that. Because I think he took his boys along. But jumping back to that, the best one that I had, again, is after doing this effectively, not actually playing, because it's hard to pick between tomato pasta and curry from the same fucking pot. And maybe occasional bit of fucking garlic bread. Like it's literally like, what can I figure out? How can I cook a meal really quick for lots of rugby men? Garlic bread, some pasta and some tomatoes, and maybe a curry occasionally. After you've had one, there must be one uniform like menu for every rugby club. Like there is some really shit food out there, but there is an upside. Petersfield and Newbury have got a phenomenal captain corporate. Both of their Scran was next level. Again, as you said, 3 courses, fully spot on, bob on, no problems. Great Scran, great accommodation there as well. Really top club. So if you're bored of eating pasta, get yourself to a league lunch. Apart from, there's probably one place I wouldn't go for a league lunch, but we'll not keep shooting in the dark on that one, shall we?
I think league lunches are slightly different though, aren't they, Carl? I think, food before a match is like, and then during the match, if you're going as a bit of an alakadoo, then it's completely different. But you are right though. I think I've definitely eaten some poor chili with no flavour.
Yeah.
Some pasta, which is just, got shredded chicken somewhere in there, or one person gets the whole chicken breast at the bottom and they're the winner. But hey, it like we said, is that's part of it though. It kind of brings the lads together, isn't it? It's one of those things that lads can talk about.
The thing is, over here, we get the perfect mix. So there's sometimes you get the pasta, but it's got flavour in it. Somebody's realised how to put flavour in it, so that helps. But then you get the occasional paella, or you get like a bit of a sort of a meat dish. So there's a good mix over here. But again, it's a case of the lads are roped in. You got to prep it all a couple of nights before. Then you work in groups of 4s and 5s over here to try and get it all dished out, and then you just banging beer bottles down. And then like literally 30 minutes later, the away team are on the bus and gone. So you're left with all the rest of the Scran, and then all the beers that they haven't been able to smuggle away because most of them had to drive like 2 hours. So like it's a winner over here because you get extra beer, extra Scran, and then carry on and get pissed up. So yeah, it's not too bad at least, and they know how to use flavour over here as well. So that's always a start.
When do you play your matches? I might sign up on the local team and take part in this extracurricular activity after the match.
Yeah, 5 o'clock's on Saturdays. So we get a nice little evening kickoff. I say a nice evening kickoff. It's still fucking high 20s at the minute. So I was at training last night at 8 o'clock till 10 roughly, and I looked wetter than Adam did on his day in Cardiff. Going on that then, obviously I know we've been to places where with the best Scran. Where's the toughest away ground you've ever been to? What's the most hostile place you've ever dragged up and played a bit of rugby?
Bognor in the mid 2000s, I guess. Sort of 2008, post 2008, it was possibly one of the worst places. It's such a hard place to go. They always just want to have a scrap at that point. And, I remember 3 of their supporters coming on and whacking the prop in the face. And, we had a big bust up in a fight, but their supporters are just, like I would class as a gospel player or an away player as vile. However, if I was a Bognor player, I'd class them as absolutely class.
Yeah.
So I think it's really tough. And I know, it's kind of, I'm not trying to be detrimental to them because I think that's just one of those things. But you go back sort of 10, 15 years where, rugby was, a little bit more violent, I would say, not much more violent, but yeah, those are some horrible places to go. I would just remember them just as horrible places to go. And, I think it's, crowds are getting better, not much, but some of them are getting better. So yeah, going to Bognor knowing full well that at some point we're going to have a fight is a pretty tough place to go.
Go on, Keith, where's your one?
Well, I as I said, like I played on the college team up in Dundalk, and that was a blissful experience compared to when I was playing schools rugby for St Mary's against Dundalk's rugby football club in the school, because they're both based in the same jurisdiction. They're both based in County Louth, so you have that kind of once it was the one fixture that you'd put in the calendar when the school rounds came out, that you go, oh, the East League, when we playing against Dundalk, and they would bring the whole school out to give you a shit. Like you arrive there on the bus and you're greeted by everyone there just hurling abuse at you. And I couldn't believe it the first time that I played there. I was like, this is like herd mentality piece. And yeah, they just gave you a torrid time. Be it if you're on the pitch, be it if you're standing on the sidelines, you were getting it worse because you were closer to them. But yeah, it was hostile territory for the local clubs.
Nice. You see that one where that mum was heckling that kid that was taking a conversion from like the byline. Like they'd all chased him round to the other side. He was like under 14s or something like that, and he was trying to take his conversion.
Wasn't that a rugby league match though?
I'm not sure, but either way, that's not quite cricket, is it? There's a lot of hostile crowds out here, to be honest, and a lot of them are Valencia based. There's a lot of them that think they run the show. There's one team over here that are horrendous for it, constantly shouting at kids, screaming at kids, saying stuff, and yeah, it's the only downside to some of it out here. To be fair, I've never really come across majorly hostile crowds back in England. Like probably Fareham Heathens away was probably as hostile as it got. There was a little bit of to-dos and people got broken shoulders and stuff like that, but nothing really. But over here, some of it's still sort of like a football mentality in some of it over here. It's a bit weird, but everyone sort of knows someone that knows someone in a certain level, and they think they can get away with just talking to kids like shit. And that's it. That's the only negative I'll call on some of the Spanish rugby over here, is some people are a little bit too close to the federation and think they can do whatever they want. So yeah, there's me putting me head on the line, but it doesn't need to be done with kids. Like, do it as adults. I don't care about that. Like, if you're big enough and ugly enough to deal with it, you can deal with it when you get it back in your face. But when you're trying to do it to kids, it's a little bit different, I think. So yeah, that's my side of it.
We're bringing them and trying to get them introduced into the next generation to make it an enjoyable experience for them, to hope that they carry it on and carry the legacy of the game on and bring it forward and everything. So just don't leave the kids out of it. Like,
I think it's really difficult because I know some people will say that Gosport Park's really difficult, and as a coach over the last sort of 4 years, is referees are the ones that usually, I don't mind supporters giving players a bit of stick, and opposition players, and it's all done as long as it's done in lightheartedness. But I've had to pull up a crowd a couple of times, and when they're screaming at the referee, and it's like, that's, to me, that's the only one thing that I would say is that the referees get a raw deal of it, especially over here. And we got to really be careful of that. So, if we think it's a hostile crowd to go to, referees, can you, that's one of those questions you got to ask the referees: is where's the worst place you want to referee a game? And
well, that leads us perfectly onto the next one. What's the worst referee you've come across?
Well, actually, I think
without them, obviously we wouldn't have a game. I wouldn't do it. It's not for me. I couldn't do it. I'm more than happy to back my own decisions if I go right or wrong, but fuck being a ref. Fair play to them.
100%.
There are some ones that are very questionable, but we got no hope of a game without them. So you're going to get the good, the bad, the ugly, and we just got to embrace it. And when you have, and most of the time, when you have a conversation with them afterwards, they're like, I saw it this way, and like, okay, fair enough, I saw it this way. And most of them are all right. There are a couple that just don't want to listen, which makes it harder for them to develop as well as players to understand what they're seeing. So there's a lot of good refs out there that want to actually sort of work with you as well. So big kudos to them, and definitely not something I'll be doing. Paul, Grassroots back in England got started the weekend just gone. So we're recording this on the 10th of September, mate. Obviously, a few local clubs got back out there, a couple of clubs away. Obviously, Gosport went away as well and managed to get a result in Guernsey, which is not an easy away day to start the one off.
No.
They got the proper pitch this time, though, didn't they? Rather than the farmers'
field.
They
did, yeah. Rather than the farmers' field caked in mud and 6 tons of sand, yeah. No, speaking to the lad, and Keith, you'd appreciate this. Their first game of the season was a flight and an overnight stay away in Guernsey. So, it's the kind of the game you want in the middle of the season to a bit team building, bit bonding, all that sort of stuff. But so they went away to Guernsey overnight and they got a result 32-29, which is good. It's a horrible place. It's a tough place. That's a tough place to go as well. But we went there last year. Me and Carl, we had a good night out. Well, I had a good night out. Carl went home to bed early because he had too much to do. Apparently, the podcast comes first. But then looking around the county, really, there were some really good results. For some other clubs, and that county's one team. That county one's going to be really tough this year, and I think it's not going to be easy to sort of see who's going to get results from there. Pompey went away to Chichester, and they were winning at half time, and then Chichester run away with it and scored 50 points in total towards us, 50 points in total. But they were. Pompey were in the ascendancy, and then Chichester just ran in 20 odd points in the second half, and ran away with it. So,
Keith, obviously over in Ireland, I know you sort of mentioned earlier you've had a little break, and is this your kind of comeback season? Is this the one where you get 20 tries from number 8? Is this the one that you get spotted and called up?
Well, here's hoping, Carl. Now, at the given the division that the team are playing in, which is a good few divisions down from a pro league, there might be a chance that I'd not quite get 20, maybe like 5 or 6, and then we'll go from there. That's what I'm going to set the goal as.
Obviously, Keith, Polly, really appreciate your time again, gents, and hopefully we can keep probably doing this on a monthly basis and change the format of how we do the podcast. We've obviously got a few other bits planned. Obviously, Grassroots Days in whatever name or format they'll come out. Obviously, Irish content, the Spanish content's growing. We're going to start doing a lot more with Division d'Honor, so I'll be sort of taking that as well. So we've got Division d'Honor, we've got the Elite League in Spain, the Copa del Rey, and Division d'Honor B. So we're going to do some watch-alongs. We've got some Rugby Europe Super Cup coming up as well, which, as I said, is going to jump back to where tier 2 nations. So, yeah, we've got some exciting bits planned for the season, and obviously just come along for the journey. And we just want to give that exposure back to the game, and we're sponsoring grassroots opportunities as well. So if there's any of them opportunities that we can help push it further, just reach out and see if it fits into our ethos and how we can do it. And let's make sure Grassroots Rugby gets that light shined upon it. So for everyone that's joined, make sure you follow, like, subscribe, all that sort of gubbins. We're on Instagram, YouTube, pretty much every channel. Get over there, follow it, make sure you keep abreast of everything we're doing. And thank you and goodbye.